Hey, welcome to a Friday fireside chat, and I want to talk about an issue here, a topic here that can be very, and I need the board to illustrate this, so we're not quite in front of my computer in the fire, but it's something that can get you in a whole lot of trouble. It's gotten myself in trouble as a trader, and it's this whole idea of hindsight bias, meaning because you have hindsight, because hindsight meaning you know what's happened. So because you know what's happened, you start to view things through a certain angle that's not reality. It's not giving you a realistic viewpoint of how it actually was. And I'll explain what I mean by that. And this comes up most often in my live trade videos. In fact, I posted one where I took a loss and then I got this comment. I'm not saying this person's an idiot. I'm not saying this person's stupid, because it's how the human mind works. At the core, remember, we want to feel good about ourselves. And I say remember because I've covered this topic before, but it's worth, I got to remember this could be the very first video you ever watch of mine. Point being, we have this thing called the ego. Not the ego in the sense of, look at me, I'm a beautiful human being, making it rain. Not that type of ego, just ego in the sense of, at the core, we want to feel good about ourselves. And because of that, that includes when you're kind of practicing trading or when you're looking at trading. The way you look at it when you have hindsight is the little kind of way the human mind works is it's going to jump in and say, oh yeah, yeah, and you would have done that, and you would have done that. And it's going to make you think that you have a much better grasp on the situation than what you actually do. You're going to think you have much better understanding of a situation than what you actually do. And I say than what you actually do is because you're looking at through the framework, through the reference point of knowing what happens. Whereas if you were looking at it through the reference point of not having hindsight, of it being the unknown, well, then that's two totally different things. So let me read this comment, and we'll see if this one part jumps out to you or not. So Kyle says, ABIO was a ticker that went absolutely nuts when it ran a while back. The company did an 18-to-1 reverse split, which completely changed the characteristic of the stock. It's now in low float land, meaning it can cause some pretty nasty short squeezes. You should have never shorted this stock in the first place that early into the run. Just my thoughts. So yeah, ABIO did indeed make a big run. There is no doubt about it. And that run is going to be represented by right there. So what was this person's advice? Clay, you should have never shorted that early into the run. Do you catch what the problem with that is? The run. Well, how do you know that there was a run to begin with? How do you know that this whole thing even existed, which is the run, meaning the big price movement that the price went on? Well, you know that a run happened because you have hindsight in your favor. So yes, when you know that a run happened, you know and can define such terms like, let's just move it over here. Early. Perfect. Too late. Meaning, again, because you know that a run happened, because you have hindsight, you're going to know, oh yeah, that spot would have been too late to get into. Oh, that would have been a perfect entry point. That would have been too early. Let me say that again. Because you have hindsight, you are able to define all these different situations, which is what they did with me. They're offering up advice, and I'm not offended by it. I get it. It's a good example. And this person was more than polite, so it's not like he was doing it in a troll type of way. But the only reason this person could tell me was, hey, you shouldn't have shorted it too early. So yeah, down here was because he had this entire reference point of what already happened. And as I reminded him back, I said, well, you got to keep in mind that when I was doing this, when I was making the trade, none of this existed. I did not know that a run happened. I did not know any of that. For all I knew at the time was this could have been a top, and the price could have headed down from there. And the funny thing at that point, like I write him, is, you know what? If I would have done that, and this live trade would have been a winning trade, you could very well be back here and saying, oh man, great trade, you nailed the top. Well, yeah, I nailed the top because, again, with hindsight, you know that was indeed the top. So you need to be very, very aware of that, is when you have the full picture, you have definitions of how everything works out. And part of that is even if there's false confirmations, where sometimes it looks like there's confirmation that something's going to happen, but it doesn't, hence a false confirmation. Because you still know where the true confirmation point is, your eyes are going to be drawn to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, and that's the confirmation I would have paid attention to. And it conveniently ignores all the times where you could have been suckered in other types of ways. And that's why you got to be careful, because here Kyle is thinking he's giving good advice, and it is good advice. He's right. I should not have shorted so early in the run, but I didn't know it was early in the run. And the reason he knows it was early in the run, again, because he's got full hindsight in his favor. So just be very careful. If you're looking at a chart and you're saying, yep, I definitely wouldn't have shorted there. Why wouldn't you have shorted there? Would you not have shorted there just because you see it went on a big run? So, oh yeah, well, that would have been stupid because there's a big run. That's not real. That's not reality. That's looking through it of the angle of you knowing what happened. You have to be looking at things as if you have no idea what's going to happen. And that is very, very important distinction. It may not seem like a lot if you're newer, but as soon as you know what happens, it's game over. There's no way that you can accurately put together a trade plan, because you're going to have bias because of hindsight bias. That's going to make you want to structure things in a way that would have worked out given how you know how everything ultimately worked out. And this is why part of my educational program, we have live webinars. And when I do it, I don't show what's happened. The way eSignal works is, and why I like it, is I can structure it where I can start asking questions before anybody knows what happens. That way people know that they're answering questions without having any hindsight in their favor. And that's very powerful. So when you're out there practicing, when you're out there trying to figure out what you would do, you cannot know at all what is going to happen. That is the key. That is what's going to give you the most realistic view of how you're doing as a trader. Now, it's still not going to be perfect because you don't have real money on the line, but as far as your knowledge, as far as your choices, as far as what you would do or why you would do it, you just simply cannot know what happens. You cannot give yourself the ability to start to define terms, because as soon as you can define when something is too early, it doesn't matter, because that's not the real world. Again, when I was doing it, this didn't exist. It was just simply, and the key thing here is that this was actually already a big move. So here I'm thinking, whoo, that's already made a big move. So it's not like this was some random spot. It had already made a big move. The thing is, or the problem is, it just got bigger. So yeah, at that point, in hindsight, it was too early. But from my point of view, I don't know if it was too early. So just remember that. As soon as you have the ability to define terms, you're not going to be able to give yourself a realistic point of view, because in the heat of the battle, you have no idea, is it too late? Is it perfect entry? Is it too early? You just don't know, because, well, you're in the present time and there is no hindsight. So hopefully that can open up your eyes a little bit, just something to be aware of. And I do find myself every now and then still doing it kind of. I'm like, oh yeah, Clay, that would have been great. I'm like, wait, Clay, why do you say it would have been great? Because you would have, because you would have just played it perfectly, right, Clay? Oh, how convenient. So it's not like I'm innocent. That's why I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. Just something that you need to be very, very careful of, because the last thing you want is to give yourself false confidence where you go rush into things, because your skills have all been based on the fact that you've always had hindsight in your favor. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up, as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.